Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast where every word feels like a warm cuddle. It's Sif Pop. Welcome to Sif Pop Weekly, streaming live most Fridays, are available to download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons get perks.
Patrons get those perks.
This is the part where you run.
I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and a staggering 87% of his time is giving me the same instructions. It's Andrew Ormsby, ladies and gentlemen.
Ahoy!
Each week we'll chat about movies, TV, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds. Hey, look at us, back live and doing stuff.
Yeah. I think I remember how to do this.
Yeah. Now, for you who listen to the podcast, it may feel like the last few weeks have just gone by, normally a podcast every week. Well, we haven't been together for a hot minute over the holidays. And so it's nice to get back in the chair and back broadcasting live, seeing people hanging out with us on Twitch and YouTube and other places as well. Thank you for that. We appreciate you guys hanging with us. So we're excited to get back into it. Movies continue to come out. It's not just all about the awards season right now, although certainly that is getting hot and heavy. But there are actual new 2023 movies to talk about. So let's get into it. We'll kick it off by talking about M3gan. A brilliant toy company roboticist uses artificial intelligence to develop M3gan, a lifelike doll programmed to emotionally bond with her newly orphaned niece. But when the doll's programming works too well, she becomes overprotective of her new friend with terrifying results.
That made me laugh way more than the
Well, that's what it says. That's what it says. It's M3gan.
Well, whenever you're talking about the movie Seven, do you say seven in?
Maybe. You don't know.
I don't. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Anyways, M3gan. Fine. M3gan. Okay. So M3gan stars Jenna Davis and Allison Williams and Violet McGraw. And just as a kind of robot android stand-in, Amy Donald coming in to do that. What did you think of M3gan, Andrew? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay?
Aaron, you know my thoughts on horror films. I share the same ones you do. Not my genre. Aaron, I really like this movie.
Nice. High side of liked it?
Yeah, high side of liked it.
I'm also going to go on the high side, but not of liked it. I'm going to go on the high side of didn't like it. Yeah, I didn't have a great time with this movie, but you get to start because, it's your favorite movie of the year. Actually, it's both of our favorite movies of the years.
True. For a little bit, and maybe until we get to the next one. Who knows? Who knows? Technically, both of these are still 2022 movies.
Is M3gan a 2022?
Both of these are, yeah.
How is M3gan considered a 2022?
I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just look at the numbers on the screen in front of me, and the screen says 2022.
All right. Well, there you go.
Anywho, yes. Even regardless, More Than Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, More Than Women Talking, M3gan is my number one movie of the year.
There you go.
No, I think because I got this movie, like immediately I saw what they were trying to do. My theater was eating this up. Everybody was laughing. This movie's hilarious. This movie is, yeah, it's, if you allow the cheese in and you just like go with it and you don't expect a scary movie, expect a funny movie, and you'll have a great time with this one. I think you really will.
Yeah. I think, in fact, I was just talking to somebody last night about this movie who really liked this movie and used the same phrase that you just used. It is a go with it movie. There are just movies that know what they are, they're confident about what they are, and if you're willing to just follow them down the road, you're going to have a good time because they know the kind of movie they are. And this is one of those movies that you just go with if you're going to have a good time. And it's why I come out of a movie like this going, even if it's not for me, and even if I have what I consider valid complaints, things that disconnected me from it, things that, made me roll my eyes or whatever, I still come away going, I get why everybody loves it. Guys, I get it. I totally get why you love this movie or why you might love this movie. I just didn't have the same experience. So it is absolutely a just go with it movie. But I'm also the same guy who watches Fast Five and is willing to just go with that. So it's not like, there aren't movies that I also just go with. But
this is just one that didn't click.
It didn't. And I can get into some of the reasons when it's time, but I am curious, like you mentioned the sense of humor. What else about M3gan did you really connect with?
I actually think this movie has something to say, like beyond the campy kind of RoboCop slash I don't know what, like Evil Dead type of humor, where it's horror comedy. But I think this movie actually has something to say about, grief and moving on, and like where like different coping mechanisms and how some can be unhealthy, like throwing yourself into like a machine and like trying to find a false sense of security when really you just need to work on stuff. So yeah, this movie actually is something beyond, Chucky, the new millennium's version of Chucky.
I couldn't disagree more with all of your points so far. So I will go a different route, talking about the thing that I found the most interesting about that movie, and that's the conceptualization of M3gan herself. I thought there's something really interesting about the way they chose to do this, because, and it doesn't make any sense when you think about it, but I like how it looks, just how it's just the normal fluid body of a human and then a very robotic face, and it's just, there's something about that really works. Like there's something really creepy and captivating about it. There's also something about it that
it's an uncanny valley sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the reason you're seeing so many memes. And so, that this has been, even before it came out, people were like, I'm willing to die for this robot, like all this stuff is happening online.
Wait, what?
Yeah. That's how you show you love somebody. You tell them to kill you. That's what I've learned on social media.
The internet's weird.
The internet is definitely weird. And so is this movie, and I give it points for that. I give it a lot of points for the swing, for the quirkiness. Like that's where I can walk out of this, and why I walk out of this going, okay, I get why people might like it. I understand possibly the experience that they had, even though I didn't have the same experience, because it's willing to take those big swings and just kind of be what it wants to be and do what it wants to do. And yeah, so that's kind of, if I had to pull something positive out of this experience for me, I think it is just kind of the look and the feel and the willingness to really embrace the kind of the quirkiness of what's going on here. So yeah. Anything else you want to praise this movie for before I kind of start going down my trails?
Performances, just real quick. I think Allison Williams is very good in the role, but I think the standout role in this movie is Ronnie Chang. I think that he was just so funny, and if it wasn't for like that type of character in this movie, it would not have worked as well for me. But every single time that he came in, I knew I was going to have a good laugh.
Nice. I didn't find any of the performances like none of them stood out to me in either way, which could be good or bad. Like it wasn't like I was like, oh, that's terrible, but I also wasn't like, oh, they're doing fun stuff.
Aaron, burn this movie to the ground.
No. I really don't want to. It's one of my least favorite things to talk negatively about a movie that so many people love. I keep loving the movie. All I'm going to do is tell you about my experience. It does not mean the movie is bad or anybody is bad for enjoying it. I will just tell you about my experience watching the movie. You mentioned the sense of humor. Didn't work for me in the slightest. I was rolling my eyes every single time that the things...
Me too. But I was laughing while I was doing it.
Okay, that's fair. I get that. This felt to me like it's M3gan time instead of it's M3gan time. Like it just felt like it.
It was that level of cheese, not the good kind.
Yeah,
you were wanting pepper jack, but you got some like real goat cheese. Like it hasn't been flavored yet.
yeah. I had a Morbius experience with this. Is this as bad a movie as Morbius is? No, for several reasons. It's not. I don't think Morbius knew what kind of movie it wanted to be. This movie definitely knows what kind of movie it wants to be. Yeah. However, it has that same doing it for the lulls, feel to a lot of the commentary that's going on around it. And so I couldn't help but think about it's M3gan time as I was watching this.
Not at all. Like whenever I was watching this movie, I was thinking, oh, RoboCop, oh, Starship Troopers, that self-aware movie that just... If it spooks you, good. If it makes you laugh, good. Everybody's here just having a good time.
But RoboCop and Starship Troopers are like really sharp satire. There's no satire here. There's nothing here that is pointed. There's nothing here that is taking down a power structure. It's really just in my opinion, fun for fun's sake, if it's fun for you. And that's okay. And that comes to the second part of what you said that I also disagree with. I don't think the themes and message in here make much sense at all. I think they're very muddled.
Really?
I think there are many scenes in this movie where M3gan is shown to be a great therapist and doing really good work with her. There are also scenes in this movie where the human therapist is shown to be a terrible person. So if the message is that you shouldn't deal with loss by going to a robot, why is the robot so good at helping you deal with loss? Where is the energy that comes from the villain of the movie, it's hard to spoil a movie like this. It's kind of obvious what's happening, just from the concept.
We made a robot. Oh no, the robot's evil. Where's this concept seen before?
So I appreciate that it thinks it's trying to do something about loss and grief and therapy, but it's such a muddled way that it looks at it that I don't know what this movie's trying to say. I don't know. I don't know. Is the bad guy the good guy? Is M3gan the good guy? Is M3gan the good guy in this movie? Okay,
no, I think... go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so what I think this movie's trying to say is that there are healthy ways to deal with loss and grief, and I think that what this movie's saying is there is a tendency in these modern times to throw yourself into your devices, to seek comfort, but that's not the healthiest way to go about doing things. Yes, I think from what you're saying, and I do agree with you, that M3gan is proving to be on the level of therapy, leagues better than the one that, than the human one. Mm-hmm. But also I think that we're not supposed to look at M3gan as what she's doing, but I think the movie's trying to say, this is what you think your technology is doing for you. But in reality, your technology, if you throw yourself in it to deal with grief, it closes you off from the world.
So where in this movie then is, without being too spoilery, again, It's hard to spoil a movie like this, but where in this movie then is the eureka moment? Where is the moment that the girl, is it Katie? I believe
the young girl,
that Katie has, that changes her from being attached to Megan, to learning something or evolving to something. What is that eureka moment, and what does that moment have to say about what the movie is saying?
Okay, so it's towards the end of the movie.
Yes.
There's the scene where Megan and Allison are confronting one another,
Mm-hmm.
and we see Megan trying to comfort Katie by saying all the right things, but not really. Like it's an actions speak louder than words sort of scenario, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's oh, so you're kind of seeing behind the curtain. Like there's a version that's shown to you, and then there's the reality, and I think that's her come to moment of I shouldn't take things at face value, and I should not throw myself at one thing and hope that this one thing, whenever you're dealing with grief, you have to accept help from everywhere. You can't do it by yourself, and you can't just look to one thing to help you, like technology. It's not a one-stop solution.
I didn't pick that up in any scene. What I saw happen was that basically, due to circumstances, she was just separated, and that all of a sudden she was just better, that she just knew what her priorities were all of a sudden. And it just seemed very like I didn't understand the flow of character change in this movie. Again, let me be very clear. This is not the kind of movie that people are going to write theses about. This is
What
the
are you
kind
talking about?
This is the kind of
We're doing it right now.
fair enough. Somebody will write a thesis about this movie. However, it is meant to be the kind of movie you play along with, you have fun with. I totally get that. But as for the themes and messages, they seemed very muddled to me. I'm not saying they're not there. I'm just saying they're not handled very well, and it was very confusing to me. There's also a theme of what it means to allow technology to be a babysitter. That stuff happens in this movie. Also, I think is kind of muddled and doesn't really land in a meaningful way. Also, because technology is ultimately the hero as well. So the movie has, this really weird and not nuanced. There's nothing nuanced about this movie, but this weird hypocrisy kind of built into it about what it's trying to say message wise. So that's why that didn't connect with me in that way.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's just dumb. This movie's just dumb.
Yes.
Like the
Intentionally.
I know.
But sometimes I get what you're saying, though. Sometimes just because something's dumb intentionally doesn't mean that it's not dumb.
Right. Well, and if you're with it, if you're having a great time, then yeah, it's dumb. That's fun. That's cool. Whatever. Like I'm having fun. If you're not having fun, and I just wasn't, then it's just dumb. And this is beyond even the foundational level of if AI reaches singularity, this is not how it's taking us out. This, like, nothing this robot did is how a hyper intelligent AI would operate in the world. It's not going for a weapon where it has to be in close proximity with you. I promise you, it will find a way to use the internet to poison your water or something else. Like it's not coming after you with a knife. Beyond that foundational, just kind of nonsense. It's just choices that characters make, choices that the AI makes, the inability for anybody to be aware of what's going on. Like there's so many moments where it just should be so clear what has happened, and it just takes everybody way too long to figure anything out, as is the norm in these kind of movies. That when you are not on board for the ride, it becomes a very eye-rolly, very, very fast. So that's it. That's all the water I'm going to pour on this fire, because I am genuinely thrilled that people are having a good time with this. Go to the movies, have a great time, enjoy it. I hope you have a much better experience than I did.
Just know that Aaron is judging you.
Nope, not at all. I got my movies. I got my dumb movies that I like. So yeah. Anything else? Any final thoughts?
No post-credit scenes.
No post-credit scenes, but certainly some sequel baiting. There's a little bit of sequel baiting in this, which, makes complete sense. I'm sure they're going to want to keep doing this. How many M3gans do you think we'll see?
Oh gosh, if this is like Saw, we can have like 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
M3gan.
And how long before everyone gets annoyed that somehow this singular AI hasn't replicated themselves?
Oh yeah, I'd say by now.
Yeah, it's like if you don't do this in the second one, yeah, exactly. Well, I actually do look forward to M3G4N and whenever that comes out. So that is M3gan. It is in theaters now. You ready to move on to our next review?
Let's do it.
Let's talk a little bit about a man called Otto. The story of Otto Anderson, a grumpy widower who is very set in his ways. When a lively young family moves in next door, he meets his match in quick-witted and very pregnant Marisol, leading to an unlikely friendship that will turn his world upside down. Tom Hanks coming in and really kind of just taking some roles, Tom is these days. Trying some things, doing some stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll talk about whether it works for you in this one. But I'm trying to think of anybody else you might know from this. I was surprised to see Mark Birbiglia show up for a cup of coffee. That was fun.
Yeah, I
like that guy.
What are you doing?
So what did you think of A Man Called Otto? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay?
I thought it was okay. The original's way better.
I haven't seen the original. I will say that right up front. The original is a foreign film, right? Does it have the same title?
Technically. Well, yeah, it's Swedish. It's En man som heter Ove.
Okay. So. All right. You've seen the original. And so how do you feel like that maybe impacted your viewing of this?
It definitely did. I'm not going to lie, because I was saying, like, the entire time I was watching this one, I was like, oh, they didn't. Not to. Just because I'll go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, do it.
One of my biggest issues with the movie was the fact that I think that this movie here didn't commit to a lot of it, the themes and like the difficulties and like
the darkness,
the darkness that this man had to go through in his life.
I actually agree with you. I'll just go ahead and say before we kind of keep talking about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have.
No, you're good. I like this movie. I liked it. So I wouldn't say high side I liked it, but I did like this movie, and I liked where it went and kind of what it had to say. But yeah, continue on, because I did notice that this movie is just by story, just by plot, very dark, but the movie itself almost feels improperly toned for that darkness, and I wonder how that compares to the original.
Well, in the original one, I'd say over a third of the movie is flashbacks of like him like growing up. Like we see him working with his dad in this factory and finding a love of cars and stuff like that. And then it's him meeting Sonia, differently in the Swedish one, just because it's an older movie. But him falling in love and everything like that. But you get to see like the things in his life that shaped him to be like this. And I don't think that this movie here, A Man Called Otto, really did as good of a job of like, why is he such an Ebenezer Scrooge? Why is he like this? And I don't think this movie did as good a job as the original one explaining why he is like he is.
I think there was enough there, though. Like, I don't think you walk away necessarily confused. You may walk away a little less enlightened than if you had watched the original. But I didn't walk away confused as to, why he was grumpy or those kind of things. I think that stuff is layered in there enough to get the picture.
Can you buy Tom Hanks as an old curmudgeon?
I actually can. It's one of my favorite things about this movie. I think he really works in this role. And it's his 2022, like I said, was really interesting to me because the other two big risks he took, I didn't think worked for him at all. The Pinocchio, live action Pinocchio, and Elvis. I didn't like him necessarily in either of those. Here, I think this is against type, but it works. Like I bought in pretty quickly to him as a grumpy old man, as a curmudgeon. It worked for me. I don't know that it'll work for everybody, but it worked for me.
It was just as I was watching it, I'm like, it's Uncle Tom. It's hard for me to, find him.
Sure.
Like, you need somebody like Clint Eastwood in a role like this, like this is like PG Gran Torino is what this movie is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That actually is a great comparison. There is something about the how do you break the hard heart of somebody kind of trope that has been played many times before. I like that trope. There's something about those kinds of stories that really speaks to me. I think it's because I like to believe that hope is more powerful than cynicism. I like to believe the idea that love is more, powerful than apathy. And so there's a real desire on my part for these kind of movies to be true. And I think there are true examples in life, obviously, of that. There are also true examples of the opposite. So I know life is nuanced and different for everybody. But I think the reason I invest and enjoy these kind of movies is what they have to say about a worldview, a positive, optimistic worldview overall. And I love the characters around him too. I think they really embody that idea of just not taking no for an answer, just kind of being like, no, we're going to be neighbors. We're going to do neighbor stuff, like that stuff in the kids stuff I thought was really, really good. I just, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit because I liked how it felt. I liked what it had to say.
Yeah. Performances all around her, I thought were really good. Even
I think so.
Hanks. Yeah. Mariana Trevino, who plays Marisol, the new neighbor, love her. Absolutely amazing. Her and Manuel Rufo, just those two were just so funny. And that's another great thing that they were able to take from the Swedish version, just because like the housing style there is so much different than it is here. Mm-hmm. They still made it feel like a close-knit community, like almost like a Sesame Street-ish neighborhood where everybody knows everybody and everything you need, like a grocery store, and everything's right there. Yeah. I also like the fact that this is a story about what would you call it? Don't judge a book by its cover sort of a thing, because you may think that this, like from the outside, it's easy to think that this is just a grumpy, mean old man who doesn't feel anything. But when you really realize what's going on, you realize that he feels a lot. This is a man that is hurting. And that's what makes him like this. It's not meanness. It's just he has no way. He doesn't know any other way to unleash his inner pain. So we should also mention the trigger warning that this movie does deal with suicide.
Yes, the movie does deal with suicide. So do your research.
It's actually the main thing in the movie.
Yes, it is. It is a main part of the movie right from the beginning. There's also I think worth mentioning the relationship with a friend who had a falling out, and I thought that was really interesting. I think this movie is funny despite its tone. There are really, the moment with the clown just slayed me. I loved every second of that. And I think the reason is, and it wasn't just that moment with the clown, there are other moments in this movie as well where he's being persnickety about something. And in every moment I'm like, he's right. He is right. He's not saying something that's out of, like, when he's talking about this is how you should, keep the road clean, or this is where the bike should go, or, and in every moment I'm like, he's not wrong, guys. Like, he's grumpy about it, but he's not wrong. And then I just realized I'm turning into the grumpy man.
No, it is so haunting watching a movie and seeing who you are like 50 years in the future. The person you're going to be, you're like, oh my God, that's me. Oh no, yeah. I can see everything now. That's me.
Yes. Unfortunately, it may be me now. With just maybe a little bit more of a smile.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked all that stuff, and it really just kind of adds up to a fun watch for me. A fun, good, warm feeling watch, despite how dark the premise and story can be. So yeah, those are my thoughts on
I still really recommend this one. Actually, I'd recommend the original. I hate being one of those guys with the cliche. Oh, the original is better, but the original is better. But this is good. So if you're one of those people who really hate like subtitles or watching dubbed movies, yeah, this is a good movie, and it'll give you the same emotions, just maybe not to the same extreme.
You know, it's interesting. We were for our SIF Pop members in the members only pre-show. We were talking about a lot of like what might get nominated for Best Picture, and just kind of going down like the top 30 movies that might get nominated for Best Picture, and it was kind of a fun conversation. But we started talking about Living, which is the Bill Nighy movie. You know, that is similarly to this, about an old man who has a breakthrough, and also based on a foreign film. It's based on Akira, Kurosawa's Akira. So it's interesting that both of these movies happened in the same year, and both are kind of in the awards buzz conversation. So it'll be interesting. I wonder at what point we will stop remaking foreign films and just start watching foreign films. I wonder.
This movie's not that old. I think it came out 2015, 16. So it's
remade Force Majeure like 2 years later. Like it's
true.
One of those weird things.
I wonder if they do that in other countries and we just don't know about it. Like, what if there's a French version of Die Hard or something like that? Or
I can almost guarantee you there's a French version of Die Hard. There's almost every version of Die Hard. So.
All right, maybe that was a bad example. Maybe a French version of Arrival. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a Christmas version of Die Hard in theaters right now. So you can go see that.
Is it just Die Hard?
No, it's Violent Night.
Oh yeah,
Die Hard meets Home Alone, basically. So yeah,
nice.
All right, that is a band called Otto. Do you have one last thing, Andrew?
No post-credit scene.
Nope, I didn't notice one either. All right, before we move on to our best ever challenge, thank you, and even one extra thank you to our amazing SIF Pop members. As mentioned, we do extra content for you as a SIF Pop member, and you kind of keep this thing going, keep the website going, keep the podcast going, and we really, really appreciate it. If you're interested in finding out all the details, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/SIFTPop, and check out all the stuff there. And just a big thank you for even going and looking. We appreciate it. It means the world to us, and we will continue to give you some fun extra stuff as appreciation. So again, it is patreon.com/SIFPop. All right, let's move into the best ever challenge.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Best ever doll movies. Movies that feature a doll in one way or another.
Yeah.
How you feeling about this topic?
I found 4 really, really good movies. And then I have one more.
I found 4 really, really good movies, and they're all in the same franchise. So let's start at number 5. We will work our way up our list. If you have it higher, feel free to do that, and we'll talk about it when it gets to your list. Andrew, kick us off. What is your number 5?
I'm going to have to send you a whole bunch of sound bites of just different ways of me saying Trump. Just
you getting tired of that one already?
No, I'm not saying I'm getting tired of it. Some people like variety is all I'm saying. Number 5, I have Saw.
Nice. I do not have Saw.
Yeah. Like I said, Aaron.
I figured it would be on your list.
Aaron, I found 4 really good movies, and then I had another one, and that other one was Saw. Now, having said that, the first Saw is a pretty decent movie. I think that Carrie Elwes is great. Danny Glover is awesome, and it's a violent movie, but I don't think that it's not the torture porn that the Saw franchise turned into.
Sure,
it's actually kind of a how are you going to get out of this? Kind of like a escape room sort of a thing.
Yeah.
You're number 5.
I had at number 5 the 2011 Winnie the Pooh. I had at number 5. This is a really good movie. It might be easily dismissed as just a kid's movie, whatever, but it is beautiful. It's drawn very, very well. It's fun. It's interesting, and I really enjoy this one. This hit my family when I had 2 boys kind of in the age range that might enjoy it and 2 that kind of outgrown it a little bit, but all 4 of them enjoyed watching this movie. So it's, kind of fun in that way. So
I bet it feels amazing, like watching your kids fall in love with the same things that you fell in love
yeah.
with when you were their age. Just like, yeah, there's some of me in you.
Yeah.
You love the same things I do.
Yeah, they would have been 12, 10, 8, and 6 when this came out, and they all
perfectly great right there.
Yeah, they all 4. We enjoyed watching this one together. So Winnie the Pooh comes in at my number 5.
Nice.
What is your number 4?
I'm gonna go with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
I have it higher than
yes,
you do. My number 4 is Ted. I have Ted at number 4. So
interesting.
Yeah, this movie's really funny. I'm gonna have to stop saying this because he's made more and more things that I do enjoy. I up until this point have not been a huge Seth MacFarlane fan. This was one of his first things where I went, yeah, this is funny. I kind of get this, and there have been a few after that as well. The Orville among the top of that list, but yeah, I think this is a really funny movie. Is it crass? Yep, sure is. Is it all the other things Seth MacFarlane? Yes, yep, sure is. But I had a good time with this. I laughed nice. A lot. So it came in at number 4. Right. What's your number 3, Andrew?
For the first Toy Story.
The very first Toy Story?
The very first Toy Story.
Well, the good news is we can talk about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio now because that is my number 3. So I had that at number 3. You had it at number 4.
Yep, I have no idea what picture that is down below us.
That's some picture of Pinocchio.
It's Pinocchio.
It is a picture of Pinocchio with woodpeckers on the nose. So
yeah.
So there you go. What do you yeah,
we talked about this movie. Well, for us, it's been forever ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Man, this movie is so good. It's so crazy to have this movie so high on my list of movies this year. I think it was like number 6.
Mm-hmm.
And the other Pinocchio, the Disney Pinocchio, is my least favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
It's crazy to have the same story told 2 different ways and have 2 completely different reactions.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind-blowing how, the art of storytelling can affect you.
It really is. My favorite part about this telling of Pinocchio is its genuine focus on Geppetto, like this, who should have been the focus of this story all along, and is a real mistake in my opinion for the original Pinocchio and the live remake of the Pinocchio. Is that I get that it's his name is in the title, but it's really not about Pinocchio. It's about Geppetto.
Yeah.
And the darkness that he's experiencing. And does Pinocchio grow? Does Pinocchio have an evolution? Of course he does. And of course it's kind of about his journey to become a boy. But that journey has so much more to do emotionally with Geppetto than it does Pinocchio. So
I think A Man Called Otto is like close enough to a Geppetto story,
Sure.
A man trying to move on from grief. It may not be from losing a child, but
Yeah, I agree with that. I highly recommend this one. Beyond the story, beyond the amazing story work, the amazing technical work on this movie is also worth mentioning. It's just stunning the stop motion effort they put into this movie. So well done to everybody.
Nice.
So
that was your number 3.
That's my number 3. So you're number 2.
This is where I have Team America, World Police.
I wonder if you have that on there.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, one of the funniest movies ever made. The highest LPM of any movie ever. LPM, laughs per minute. Yeah. The songs are hilarious. Matt Stone, Trey Parker, they got my number, man.
Yeah, there's something really smart about the way they do comedy. It seems lowest common denominator because it is. A lot of it is kind of low common denominator stuff, but it's done in such a clever, interesting way that there's some brilliance to it too. It's like it's smart dumb. You know what I mean? It's just like it's really interesting. So Team America is incredible satire. It's also hilarious puppetry work. It's worth mentioning for sure. Didn't make my list, but worth mentioning.
Nice. Your number 2.
My number 2 is Big Hero 6. In at number 2, I'm counting Baymax as a doll. That's probably out of line for some, but he starts as like a toy, right? He starts as like a medical assistant toy. So I really love this movie. I love everything about the art direction, the story. It's really cool. It's fun to watch. Big Hero 6 is one of my faves. I'm surprised. I think there's a TV show, but I'm still surprised we haven't seen more from this universe because I think it would be interesting. Exactly.
I wonder if Betamax will ever be in the MCU.
Baymax.
Yeah.
What do you got for your number 1?
Sex dolls are dolls too, Aaron. So I'm going with Lars and the Real Girl.
I had it in my honorable mentions. I definitely had it in my honorable mentions.
It's in my top 100 movies of all time.
Oh, that's right. I forget that you love this movie. I think it's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm sure you have movies that you keep, locked up just for this situation. Whenever you hear somebody say, "Oh, Hollywood nothing's new anymore. There's no unique stories anymore." This is one I go, "Oh, you want a unique story, huh? How about you go watch Ryan Gosling fall in love with a sex doll and think that she's a real woman, and then the entire town has to make believe that she is too as part of his therapy." This movie is great. It is Ryan Gosling in a role you will never see him in again. This was in 2007 is whenever this movie came out. It was the year that Daniel Day-Lewis won for There Will Be Blood, which I consider the greatest performance by any actor of all time. And after he gave the acceptance speech, actors go backstage and they'd have like a little press screener and stuff like that. And somebody asked him if you could give this award to anybody else, who would you have given it to? And like, without even like skipping a beat, he said Ryan Gosling for Lars and the Real Girl. He said nobody's seen that movie, but I think that his performance in that movie is profound. And I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful, funny, uncomfortable movie. I love everything about it.
Yeah, Lars and the Real Girl. Definitely had it in my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
That brings us to number 1. No surprise here. I have Toy Story at number 1. And if I had decided to use all the Toy Story movies, they probably would have been the top 4. That's actually not true. Big Hero 6 probably would have been in there somewhere. But yeah, these movies have clearly had an impact on so many things. This movie specifically launched a $1 trillion industry. I don't know, like how much money
is Pixar worth?
No, not Pixar. I'm just talking like computer generated animation. Like, to show it could be done, and how many, billions and billions of dollars have been made on digital animation because Toy Story led the way. It's also an incredible story, incredible performances. It's funny, it's meaningful. It's a great film.
Yeah, we talk about groundbreaking movies all the time, like that push the bounds of what cinema can be, like Jurassic Park or Avatar or Wizard of Oz or any of those. Yeah, Toy Story is 100. It'd probably be on the Mount Rushmore of that list of movies.
I think so. I've actually, the topic that I've talked about it with is a topic called seismic movies. The idea of movies where the landscape was not the same afterwards. Like it just was not the same afterwards.
Citizen
and Toy Story
Kane,
is really high on that
Toy
list.
Story.
So yeah. Toy Story. What's left to say that I haven't said before? Probably not much.
It's Toy Story, people. It's
Did you have any honorable mentions other than the 5 you found?
Aaron, my number 5 was Saw.
Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate that. I thought of Welcome to Marwin, which isn't a great movie, but maybe
seen it. But
maybe
that's
worth
why I haven't
mentioning.
seen it, is because everybody's like, it wasn't.
And they're not wrong. It's not spectacular, but I think it might be worth a watch.
Okay. If it's on, I'll watch it.
I mentioned AI. I'm not a huge fan of AI, but the bear definitely plays a large role in it.
Oh, yeah, the bear. I thought you were actually talking about the kid. I'm like, yeah.
It works. I mean, it could work, I guess.
You could open up a whole can of worms with that. I could have been like
Ex Machina.
It's technically
Yeah. No, I was going with the teddy bear. In Small Soldiers, I thought was worth mentioning as well.
That's a fun movie.
That is a fun movie, so you might want to watch it. Well, there you go. There's our best ever doll movies. We're just cooking right along, Andrew. Already here to the buried treasure
we'll have to slow down to get that time in for people.
And buried treasure. Welcome to Drunk Sift Pop.
Which, FYI, everybody, I have been backlogging a whole bunch of Drunk Sift Pops.
Drunk Sift Pops?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
maybe since we're running a little ahead of schedule, I will just say this and let you know as we're looking ahead. Next week, I will be at the Critics' Choice Awards. I encourage you to watch. It'll be on the CW. It is Sunday night, which I believe is the 15th, if I'm correct. Sunday the 15th.
I believe you are correct because, yes, you are right, the 15th.
If you want to check that out. And so for next week's episode, I think I'm actually going to just do a solo Sift Swift where I just fill out my final ballot for the awards live. So just kind of talk through the different categories and what I'm voting for. And then that'll be able to be compared to what actually wins, which, by the way, is very rarely the same because I'm not the one who gets to choose. I'm just one of many who gets to choose.
I was going to say, you technically help choose. So
I am one of a few hundred that get to choose. So in the chat, Stuart is asking if there are streaming options for the Critics' Choice. I believe it is free to stream on the CW app.
Yes.
You can possibly get it there. But we're going to have a good time. And so I'll be doing that next week and just kind of walking through the ballot, going through all the different choices. I don't know. I just thought maybe that'd be a fun way to kind of approach Critics' Choice Awards. Then the 2 weeks after that will be our Sifties, our Sift Pop Movie Awards. So that takes place in 2 parts and will take place for the next 2 weeks. And then we will start catching up on movies that maybe we missed in the meantime. So,
nice.
It's going to be a fun rest of the month. So also tune into siftpop.com. A lot of fun Sifty stuff going there. They have fun categories that we don't have on the podcast that you might find interesting. Best vocal performance they do an award for and some different things as well. So, check that out at siftpop.com. All right, we can get into our buried treasure now. Andrew, actually, I'll go first. You've been going first most of the show.
You pick the orders, not me. Don't blame.
I wasn't blaming. Can you imagine if I was? I was like, you've been stealing that first slot the entire show, Andrew. I'm just going to take this one. I was going to do Violent Night, which I mentioned a little bit ago, because I do think it is worth a watch. I didn't love it, but it's just it's very much Home Alone and Die Hard, with Santa Claus, or like an R-rated Home Alone, kind of thing. But I decided instead to talk about Mythic Quest again, because the new season is out and it's on Apple TV Plus. And man, do I love this show. It's one of my favorite TV shows right now. I think this cast is one of my favorite comedy casts. They just work so well together. The situations they're put in are great. Every one of them is hilarious to me. So yeah, check out Mythic Quest Season 3.
Season 3? Man,
yeah.
I am behind.
Yes,
I've only seen the first season.
Well, then you've missed some fun stuff, my friend.
Probably.
You have missed some fun stuff.
All I remember from the first season, well, I remember that I love the show, obviously, but one of my favorite episodes was the one that didn't even seem like it was like tied in until the very end when you realize that it's just the people who had the building before them.
Yeah, there's one of those every season.
Episodes. Is there?
There's one of those every season that's just kind of separate, but kind of in the world and a little more artistic, and with some guest stars and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's a fun thing the show does.
Okay. Well, now I know what I got to get caught up on.
There you go. A little MQ. Nice. What about you, Andrew? What is your buried treasure?
I'm also going with a show. Mine's on Paramount Plus. Tulsa King. Sylvester Stallone, Martin Starr, and several other amazing actors. Yeah. This is a Taylor Sheridan show. So if you
Isn't
like
every show on television a Taylor
every
Sheridan
show on Paramount at least is a Taylor Sheridan show. I love that guy. He is such
I
a
don't know how he does it.
prolific storyteller.
Yeah,
he is so good. And this show is it's The Sopranos if The Sopranos took place in the Ozarks or close enough to it. It's a role that I've never seen Sylvester Stallone in before. Where we've seen him do like action movies, obviously, where he's like punch through people with craziness. But this is like he's a genuinely like creepy, evilish guy. It's interesting seeing him take on that role. The story is fascinating about a mobster who went to prison for 25 years, and as soon as he gets sent out, the mafia sends him to Tulsa to start a new source of revenue for him, and it's him taking over Tulsa. So yeah, it's really good. It's funny and it's captivating. So if you have Paramount Plus, like if you're watching Yellowstone or 1923 or any of those, you definitely need to check out Tulsa King too.
There you go. Tulsa King. I have not checked it out.
Yeah, I think the first season finale airs this coming weekend. So
I'm it's terrible. There's so much great TV. I'm kind of purposefully not watching any Taylor Sheridan shows because I'm like, I know they're going to suck me in and I just don't have time to pick up another show. So
but Aaron, The Circle's back.
That's what I'm saying. How can I watch Tulsa King when The Circle is back? So yeah,
that was going to be my buried treasure, but there's not enough episodes out yet.
Yeah, I think there's 8. I think there's 8 out now. Like they release like 3 or so every Wednesday. So yeah. Well, there you go. Our buried treasure: Tulsa King on Paramount Plus, Mythic Quest on Apple TV Plus, The Circle on Netflix, Violent Night in theaters.
Everything,
all of the above.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Singing in the Rain.
Yeah.
We did it, Andrew. We did a podcast. Congratulations to these grumpy old men for making it happen one more time. Thank you so much.
Are you a Ford guy or are you a Chevy guy, Aaron?
That's so funny. This is so weird.
Toyota.
That was actually a thing, man. That was like it was like you could not. If you were a Chevy person, you couldn't, drive a Ford, and if you were a Ford person, you couldn't drive. Like, it is wild to me that was actually a thing.
They have that in the original one too, except it's Saab and Volvo.
Oh, nice.
And then at the very end, instead of Toyota, it's a Citroen. And same thing. He just walks away in disgust. I'm like, this is awesome. I've known people like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for joining us today for Sif Pop. It is part of the Studio DNA podcast network. You can find out more about other shows on the network at studiodna.media or by searching Studio DNA in your podcast player. Huge thanks to Andrew for hanging out again today.
Thank you, buddy.
Big thanks to producer Phil for producing the audio and video show.
Thanks, Phil.
Much love and gratitude to our Sif Pop members for giving monthly to make Sif Pop a real thing. Support starts at $3 a month. You can check all that out at patreon.com/SifPop. Lots of ways to connect with the podcast. You can leave a comment, a rating, or a review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. You can also email us, feedback@sifpop.com. And finally, if you're having a good time, your movie-loving friends will probably like the show too. So make sure you let them know about it and that listening is much easier than driving a screwdriver through solid metal with the arm strength of a 9-year-old. We will be back next week with, as I mentioned, a little bit of a sift swift for the Critics' Choice Awards ballot. And we'll see you then.
Bye.
Live viewers, thanks for hanging out. Stuart, good to have you from New Zealand hanging out with us on a Friday evening, which I imagine in New Zealand is Saturday morning, early, right?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty early there. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. Lolly, always good to see you. Sorry for giving you nightmare fuel. I hate to tell you this, but if the machines want us gone, we're gone. There's nothing we can do about it. It is over. We have no shot, despite the movies you have seen. It probably won't be poisoning your water. It will actually probably be poisoning your vents. It'll probably be something more along those lines.
Yeah, turn off the carbon monoxide detectors.
Yep, something like that.
So you just go to sleep. It's fine.
Stuart says it's 2 p.m.
Oh my gosh, we got so dark right there.
Stuart says it's 2 p.m. in New Zealand right now. So yeah, it's tomorrow. I'm assuming tomorrow at 2 p.m. So Saturday afternoon. So yeah. Oh yeah, he says Saturday. So there you go. Let's see. Who else did I see? Oh, I saw Jay Bourgeois. Thanks for hanging out again. So you're saying it's not so dumb, it's brilliant. I didn't think it was so dumb, it's brilliant. But
well, don't get me wrong, the movie's not brilliant. It's so dumb, it's fun.
Yes. And you're not alone in thinking that for sure. Scociego says 100% in a simulation, just finished the behind the scenes and immediately this popped up. Timing couldn't be more perfect. Well, welcome, Scociego. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you hanging out with us live. We do actually plan, I should have said this more explicitly in the episode proper. Maybe I'll do that next week.
On Fridays now?
Yeah, we do plan to be on Fridays now at this time. So Fridays, 6 p.m. Central. So like 7 Eastern is when we plan on doing this thing. So I hope you can join at that time. We'll be live whenever we can. We'll catch you on the next one, guys. Bye.